is good.
Okay, so we are here with comrade Piotr, and we will talk about the subject which is one of the most important subject in the media discussion in Poland. It is a crisis in the Polish-Belarusian border. And so, comrade, could you present what's happening there?
Basically, for past weeks or even months, there is ongoing humanitarian crisis on Polish-Belarusian border. Basically, it started with the defeat of Americans in Afghanistan, and it was correlated with people running away from the Taliban, people who were associated with pro-American government. There was some problems with that. Government didn't really knew what to do with this. There was many controversies. These people weren't let in, etc. But it didn't go away. The problem kept rising. Today, it's not really the refugees from Afghanistan. It's basically migrants from many different countries. And the government says, because they are not refugees, then they don't have the obligation to help them. But instead of just not helping them, they are keeping people at the border. They refuse them to come in. And basically, these people are being kept in really inhumane conditions. Some people already died. There is few cases of death. There is basically ongoing conflict between government forces and nationalists, and people who try to help these migrants safely go through the border, then go through Poland to the Western Europe. The entire Polish-Belarusian border, and I mean basically territory close to the border, closest towns, etc. It's all, we can say, under the some sort of martial law or other special law. Basically, it's a police state right now. I'm talking about only our eastern border, but basically there's military, there's police searching every vehicle coming through. They are looking for migrants being transported illegally, and they are arresting migrants, they are arresting people helping them, and it's basically, I think it's out of control. It's just a big humanitarian crisis that could be dodged, that could not happen, but our government make it so.
Okay, so thank you for your explanation what's happened, and now we can try to say something more about this question. Maybe first things which I would like to say is the Polish reality and the propaganda which they say us in the schools. When I was in school, all the time they said that now Poland is the country of the democracy, and one of the biggest difference between the communism and the democracy and the new better system is that now Poland is the part of the European Union, and there are no borders. Everybody can go where he wants. We are living in the global village. The world became smaller and smaller, and one of the biggest difference between the communism and the capitalism is borders. And as you see in the photos which I published here, in Poland there wasn't a real border. Every place with every country, Poland didn't have border. We have only the things with wood informed that this is the Finnish end of the Poland, and
just the sign.
Yes, just the sign, and that's all. And one of the reason why in Poland we didn't have border, it's an ecological reason, because we had there are the animals which one day they are in Poland, second day they are in Belarus. They can go to Ukraine, Slovakia, Czechia, Germany, Russia, in Kaliningrad, Lithuania, etc. So the animals, they don't have passport, they don't have citizenship. They could cross the borders whenever they wanted. So now the first problem which people who are against these constructions, which they started to build 2 months ago, is that this wire with there are a lot of gilets. I think that the gilets or something, it's very
gilets, spikes, etc.
Yes, and it is very
basically barbed wire, military barbed wire.
Yes,
it's meant to not only stop a person but also hurt him.
So the animal who crossed this, they died. Second thing, that in Poland we have the Polish propaganda say that we lived in the democracy, and democracy, it is something that we have the free media who can inform the Polish citizens and the citizens abroad about the situation in our country. And it is why all the time they criticize the martial law, which was which started in 1981, 13 December. It was the martial law. It was the thing made by the General Jaruzelski against solidarity. Soon we will have 40 anniversary of these things, and this all this Russian, all this border with Belarus, we have also martial law. It is only a few kilometers from this border. But this martial law is, as you said, it's something that we don't have there normally, normal democratic bourgeois democracy. So it is forbidden to go there if you want. It is forbidden to media to make relations what's happened there. And we don't know what happened there now, because we could know a little things in the time when the media could inform us what's happened there. Now it's finished. We have only the information from the Belarusian, because the state of Belarus, they try to inform us about the situation in this border, because the information from the Polish state, this is the many lies. And there is a very, very famous conference of the Polish Ministry of the Special Forces, which they try to present all these migrants in this border like some kind of the pervert sexual who
Yes. Maybe let's separate the subject, because you touch many of them. What was at the beginning? The border. Border and the propaganda. Basically, what we have today in Poland is, I don't think it's fascism already, but there are clearly very strong fascistic tendencies. We have many examples of, let's say, political imprisonment or other kinds of political violence, let's say. We had Mateusz Piskorski, who was arrested for about 3 years without any trial or anything. Comrade Michał had some problems with Polish secret service. I think that's the word. Many people have similar problems, etc. That's the one thing. The other thing is larger police brutality towards protesters and so on. We have proofs of cooperation between the state, between the police and far-right movements, nationalists, some religious fundamentalists, mostly in Warsaw, but not only. Crisis on the border is like the next step of this same issue, I think. It all just proves that the post-socialist propaganda, the neoliberal propaganda, it's all false, it's all lies, and I'm afraid we're gonna get more and more proofs of that about the border itself. I think not only politics are the reason of government actions. I believe basically money and simple corruption of government officials is also important factor. There's a plan to make an actual wall on the border, like it's no longer going to be just barbed wire and some soldiers marching, but they plan about making actual concrete wall with cameras and everything, and it's basically yet another moment, yet another thing where Polish citizens are basically being spit in the face by Polish government because our healthcare is underfinanced, really underfinanced. There's ongoing protests of the healthcare workers in Warsaw. Our education is underfinanced. Basically, state institutions, most important state institutions, don't have money they need, and Polish government gets billions of złotych basically out of nowhere for basically useless projects. Previously, it was a deal with America to buy tanks, Abrams. I already forget the amount of money they wanted to put in that, but it was absolutely large, and now they want to spend more than $1 billion of złotych on completely unnecessary wall across the border, along the border. So I think the entire narration that the socialist regime was corrupted, it was all authoritarian. We can tell that there was corruption and there were many problems, but compared to what was before socialism and what is today, corruption was much lower, and it was much less dangerous. It was more like some people would get some advantages because of their connections and so on. Today we have entire Polish state being basically ruined, being used to serve some important people in Poland. So that's about that. Like I said, authoritarianism in Poland is also rising. The democratic standards are going down. So all of that is one big anti-socialist mythology made to justify problems of current capitalist system.
Yes, but I want to add, I want to say two things. First things, explain why the people from Iraq or Afghanistan are in this border. Because it's very important to know that the Poland and the NATO have responsibility towards these people. Poland occupied Afghanistan many years, and it cost a lot of money, and it was. The explanation of this occupation was that we build their better society. We build their democracy, we build their, I don't know, something which will be better. It's of course it was a lie all the time, and the Afghanistan because of the USA, Afghanistan is all the time in the war since 1979. Since 1979, when the Brzezinski started to organize the terrorist movement in Afghanistan, Afghanistan all the time is in the situation of the civil war. And after 40 years, it's normal that people don't want to live there. so they try to go out from Afghanistan. It's important to say because in 1970s, when the Soviet Union and the communists from Afghanistan tried to make reform in Afghanistan, it was a chance for this country that they will build something good in this country. But because of the USA who destroyed this country, now many of these people go away from Afghanistan. The biggest difference is with Iraq. Iraq was one of the Iraq in the time of Saddam Hussein was one of the richest country in the Arabic nations. It was the woman in Iraq was they studied in universities, they worked in all the places with men. They are wearing the clothes typical for the European women. And and the destruction of Iraq was a catastrophe, not only for the economy of this country, not only because many Iraqi people died, but also we have this beginning of the fundamentalism in Iraq, the creation of the Islamic States, and many bad things. So we see that the countries liberated by NATO, liberated by USA with Polish helps, it is the country where people don't want to live. We can make a little analogy with Poland, because Poland also was liberated by United States in the first one of the first color revolution was in Poland, and because of victory of this financed by American color revolution, many Polish people like me don't want to live in Poland. I understand these people who don't want to live in these countries, that they chosen the occupying countries because of the moral responsibility of the all countries of NATO who occupied Afghanistan from 20 years. Now it's other question, and it is a question of my political difference with some of the leftists who are presenting the question of the border in the utopian way, that we should don't have any border, or everybody can go out. The socialism, which I think that could work, especially in the time of the imperialism, and especially after all this experience of victorious socialist revolution, where day after the victory of the revolution we have the sanctions of the imperialism. This is sanction or bombarding or other things, or financing the terrorist movements. So I am not enemy of the border which exists. I think that in the first day of the socialist Poland, border is something which we will need against the counter-revolution, against the imperialism. So the question with Polish government, it is not that they are building the border. The question is that in this border where they are built now, these people who are there, these people, they crossed illegally border because they want to be arrested, because if they were be arrested, they can make demand for the asylum, and Polish people don't want arrest them, and because they don't want arrest them, these people in this border are in the situation that it's cold, it's raining, they are starving, and it is something which is bad. That we observe from for 2 months the situation of the humanitarian crisis, that Polish the Polish soldiers and the people who work to this police of the borders, they are this is the orders is that we need to make terrorize these people. They have to starve, they have to die there, because they need to give example for the other migrants that you don't that Poland is dangerous country, don't go to Poland. And it is this question, this how that inhuman situation, that in this border there are people who are starving. And I am not somebody who want open borders and everybody can go there. But if somebody is there, we must arrest him. We need give him place where he can have something to eat, in warm place. After make all these paperworks, and if somebody I don't know, don't want to learn Polish language, and he know nothing about Polish culture, and he don't want to be a part of the Polish society, we can in the civilized way send him out. But this crisis is that people are dying because the police only watch these people how they are starving. And
Polish is basically not only utopian, but I got to remind you that they are thinking that Americans pulling out of Afghanistan is actually a bad thing. They should stay there longer. So our left isn't exactly well, it isn't for support. And going back to the first question about responsibility of NATO states of these refugees. Well, I think it's some sort of strategy of imperialist Western nations to destroy these developing countries, or basically countries that are outside this imperialist group. So people will naturally migrate to the places with better materialistic conditions, and they will feed the cheap workforce for these countries. This was the situation with entire Eastern Europe after the fall of Soviet Union and socialism in Europe. Industry in Poland and other countries was completely destroyed. This was annihilated. There was huge unemployment, and when borders were open, Western countries just received a large number of very often qualified workers who were willing to work for really small wages. There was a lot of Polish people in Germany, in UK, they still are there. And what's really disgusting about what's going on with today with these migrant crises is that Western countries at least decided that they have actually enough of the cheap workforce. They don't need anymore, will actually cause them more problems than benefit. So they ruined these countries, they ruined Iraq, Afghanistan, and so on. And when people want to move to the Europe to live in countries that aren't completely destroyed by Western interventions, they are being stopped at the borders. We had this large migrant crisis a few years ago in Greece, in France, etc., where there were large masses of people, and these people were not taken care of the right way. They were being put in some camps. They were being put in inhumane conditions, and I think what is happening now in Poland on the eastern border is basically very similar thing. Basically, this imperialist camp decided they don't want any more migrants. They decided it's very problematic for them to care about these people, to incorporate them to these Western nations. Plus, there's some sort of eco-fascism rising. That's entirely another thing, but is connected to that. In a short way, Western countries are trying to isolate themselves from the outside world, and basically there is some sort of nationalism rising. Nationalism in Western countries, often disguised as liberalism, etc. So this entire crisis, I think, is just another step. It's another event in a very long chain of events that will happen because of many reasons, not only imperialist wars, but also ecological reasons, the climate catastrophe, climate changes, and we will see more and more unwanted migrants on European borders. So, yeah.
Yes, but I think that there are a big difference between this crisis in 2015 and the crisis we can now observe in Polish-Belarusian border, that many people who died in the 2015 and after, this was the people who died in the sea. And in the sea, of course, all people in Europe knew that they are the boats which cross the sea. So we knew that they are the people, and we knew that they will die. Most of them will die. But there was no situation that somebody is 20 meters from there and not helping, only watched.
Not only watching, they actually refuse people to help them. It's not like they just don't want to help them or something. They are keeping people who want to help away from these migrants. I think this also is very important.
Yes, and the second thing which is problematic here is that if people wanted to go to Italy, the south of Italy, many of them migrants from the North Africa, they wanted to stay in Italy because Italy, it is a rich country. And I don't think that anybody in this Polish-Belarusian border wants to live in Poland. they only cross the Polish border because this is the border of the European Union, and they want to continue this migration to the Germany or France or the other rich country in the Western Europe. and I think that Poland wants to show in the world the propaganda that watch our country. People won't migrate to us because we are rich. Everybody in Poland live in a good situation, and so they are very happy about this because of this crisis. They can show that yes, now we have the government of PIS, and we have the growing GDP, growing exports, growing economy, and because of Jarosław Kaczyński, now we are so rich country that people want to come here. So in the time of Tusk, we are not rich, and we don't have this problem. Now we have this problem because of success. It is the price of the success. I want to say hi to comrade Ramiro Sebastian Funes from California, and also Pamela Matox. If you have question or you want to know something about Poland, we can answer. As you see, we try to spread information about Poland. It is not easy to find this information because, of course, there are many information about this crisis, but from the time when we have this martial law in this border, there are no media, so we don't know how many people are there, how many people died. We can only guess.
The only media on Polish side that are officially allowed to be there are government media, and government media, I think it's a good moment to start the subject about government propaganda, including this infamous event with Polish Minister of Defense.
I will try to make a photo of this. Okay, but you can say.
Yes. So you will search for that, and I will be talking. So basically, Polish government's propaganda isn't ignoring this crisis. Is actually really loud about this, and in a short way, basically. Polish government propaganda is reaching levels of hatred and dehumanization from the Nazi Germany, and I'm not even joking right now. Like on the normal, let's say, news, they will just portray these people as they just pretend to be refugees, etc. Like they don't really need help. They will say they are dangerous and illegal at least a few times every sentence. They will say that it's really okay, that there's a martial law, that people want this, they feel safe because of that, bullshit like that. And the peak of Polish propaganda was a very infamous event where there was an official conference of Polish Ministry of Defense where they had to explain themselves why the entire situation is happening, why they are keeping people at the border, why they are letting them die over there. So basically, they came out with idea that these people are dangerous, and as a proof, they said that on the phones they found on migrants, they searched them, they found files with zoophile pornography, with pedophile pornography, ISIS executions, some photos of people who are said to be these migrants among photos where they are among some ISIS members. So the Polish government is I don't know how to sum this up. I see Michał already found the picture. Yes, it really happened. In the Polish conference, they actually showed people of a man having sex with a cow or something like that. They actually use this as argument why we shouldn't let these people in, and they say it's a proof that they are degenerate, they are dangerous, and so on. I don't know. Do you have your comment about that, Michał?
Wait, because now you are not. When I try to, it's happened one more time. When I try to. When I try to. No, it's this part. You are there?
I'm there.
Wait.
Can't you hear me?
I hear you, but the people don't see you.
I see. There's this photo. You can just make it smaller, I guess.
No, you see, and it stopped.
No.
Okay. It's okay. It's not. If I want comment, I think that
I think the video from Discord is frozen.
Yes, and I don't know what to do with this. Wait, maybe now it will be better.
I'm moving.
Okay. So it's now you are come back.
People heard what I said.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that when I try to download the image from the browser, the Discord is frozen. I don't know why, but it's so about this conference. It's a symbol of the Polish government. I think that how that it's in all this argumentation against the monopoly of the propaganda. Now we see how it's finished, that if state have monopoly to the propaganda, and there are no any criticism of the state, it's degenerate that they can there are a lot of capitalist countries with different bourgeois propaganda, but I want to say that in the Western countries this propaganda is much smarter, much more intelligent. It is you have to make a big job in your brain to find something which is I don't know, lie, or to explain the people that it's bullshit. In Poland, it's these people who because of this semi-authoritarian model of the state that Jarosław Kaczyński and people who collaborated with him, you can't criticize them, and in the media there are only the people who are loyal for these politicians, so they can make total bullshit like this, and it's okay.
Get away with it.
It's okay, and they. I am example of this propaganda, because for people who don't know me, I was arrested by Polish agents of the inferior security on 7th of July, and in this time they present me like a terrorist and something like this, and it was also in the mainstream media that they arrested some kind of terrorist. But I was arrested because I singing a song about Polish fascists, and I want to destroy this monument, and so because of my example, I can say that how very primitive is this government propaganda. But of course, this it was scare. These things with this cow and this guy who makes sex with cow, it's ridiculous. It's everybody in the world are laughing from the Polish state, that how
that's even possible. It's like a scenario from some, I don't know, Black Mirror or something. I think in that show was a scene where some politician had to like record him having sex with some animal. I mean, it's the same level of absurd, but it's actually happening right now, and it's happening in Poland. So yeah, the level of propaganda in Poland, but not only just propaganda itself, the entire like this mythology explaining, justifying this current system and changes. It's actually not only absurd and stupid, but it's very fragile. Like you said, they actually send secret service. They send them at you for doing a silly song on YouTube because you questioned, you criticized this mythology. There are more absurd things like that. For example, a little bit liberal leftist owner of a newspaper, Tygodnik Nie, had how to say that, a thing in court. He was sued. And he had to fight in court because in his newspaper there was an image of Jesus that had like a shocked face, and he was like cancelled, right? There was this red line on him. So because of that stupid picture, he actually had some big problems with the law, and eventually lost and had to pay a lot of money because of that. So this entire mythology, once again, is it's just fake and it's weak. They put really so much effort into defending this, into reinforcing this entire ideology, defending neoliberalism, making sure that people hate socialism, that they forget everything good about socialism, that they just surrender to the current, to the status quo. There's a lot of propaganda in schools, not only about neoliberalism. There's a lot of propaganda about nationalism. There's very strong theological, theocratical cult of Polish Pope Jan Paweł II, John Paul II, and people are having enough of that. I think less and less people believes that. Mostly old people, I think, believe these lies, both on the right wing and liberals, and this mainstream left wing.
Yes, but I want to add some words about the opposition, because of course the government is a bullshit, but the opposition and also the social democrats and maybe also the radical, some of radical left, maybe anarchists, things which they spoke is bullshit also. So in this conflict between the opposition and the government, I have really problem to find anybody who is who use good arguments, because opposition, they are saying two things. One already you said, but I will repeat this. So they are saying that the biggest problem is that United States finish occupation of Afghanistan. For them, occupation of Afghanistan, it is something good, it is giving a democracy, and the problem started when the Joe Biden finished occupation of Afghanistan, and it was something very bad. I am not agree with this. I support every anti-imperialist movement. In this case, I support Taliban against USA, and I think that the 15 or 16 August, it's not only victory Afghan people against imperialism, but it is victory for all the world that the United States lose this war. So it is good information. It is information we need to praise. And because of this propaganda that they said that because when they use this propaganda, it's this argument is idiot, because they said this is the people who are fleeing the war. The war is in Afghanistan, was in the time of the occupation. From my perspective, that there was 20 years of the occupation, and this occupation is finished. But the second thing when they say is that there is the collaboration between the Belarus state and who helped these people came to Europe. I think that it is not our problem. If these people want to use the, I don't know, Belarusian plane, go to Belarus, they have absolutely right for this. This logic that we can go with our soldiers to Afghanistan, make everything what we wanted, and because it is very, very far from Europe, nobody will know about our crimes. And also it is difficult to came by feet from Afghanistan to Europe. And so they criticize the Lukashenko. Oh, Lukashenko is a dictator because they are the planes from the Baghdad or planes from the Afghanistan who came to Minsk, and it's him. It's him responsible for that these people are don't want to live in Afghanistan, Iraq, or any other countries bombarded by NATO, because this crisis on 2015 was also provoked by the NATO war on Libya, war on Syria, and etc. So things which we are watched in Polish media is that everybody are agree that there is some guy who is very, very bad. This guy is Lukashenko or Putin. So we have two guys which are very, very bad, and now the opposition accuse the government. You are playing the game of Lukashenko, and the government make answer, no, it's you are the agent of Lukashenko. So they are not speaking about the real problem, because real problem is that Poland have moral responsibility for the crimes in Afghanistan. Poland have the moral responsibility in crimes in other countries like Iraq. So it is very serious, and they don't want to speak about this. They said, oh no, it's only provoked because of bad dictator in Belarus, and it's because these people in Afghanistan, they are very, very happy. They have if not Lukashenko, they will stay in Afghanistan and they will have the very, very good life. But he is a dictator. He make beaucoup lies and propaganda. So because of him, they come to Europe, and now we have problem because of Lukashenko. So
yes, there's extremely strong anti-Russian. There's extremely strong Russophobia in Poland. Excuse me for a second. My phone is going to. There's no battery, so I will join you from my PC in a second.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I will read the.
Hello?
Yes, I am listening to you, but I am not seeing you.
No, sorry. That's why I was on my phone. I didn't thought it will drain my battery so fast.
Oh.
I would prepare myself better.
Okay,
So
comrade, but I think that we already said all things necessary. So
we can conclude, and
yes,
there is some comments, so we can talk about them. So going back to that, there's extremely strong Russophobia in among Polish politicians, among politician parties. People themselves, they don't really feel anything against citizens of Russia, Belarus, and so on. There is some nationalist, how to say it, some people have issues with Ukrainians because there's a lot of Ukrainian migrants in Poland, so some people are basically concerned about this massive migration is something pretty new in our country, so people don't really know how to feel about it. But like I'm saying, this Russophobia, this phobia against Eastern countries is basically it's purely political. I think it's also some sort of extension of that red scares of accusing everyone of being communist because communists are evil, and we end up in a situation where both not both, all of the political parties are basically arguing who's the communist, who's evil, and so on. And in Poland, it's not only communist; it's also arguing who's the agent of Putin, who's the agent of Lukashenko, and so on. I think we can go to the comments right now. I see Comrade Artistisch said that Polish government is more so going to Trump level, trying to make a wall at the border. The wall has been approved by Sejm and it's gonna be 1.5 billion zloty. We already talked about the wall. I don't know if you want to add something.
No, I think that it is ridicule because I can understand people from the South America and Central America that they go to United States because United States is a rich country. The people who wants to go to Poland, the wages, the salaries in Poland is one of the smallest in Europe. The Polish health system is not existing. It's catastrophe. People are dying in Poland. The Polish I don't know, freedom of speech is we have some of the authoritarian states, and I can continue these things. I can't understand people who want to emigrate to Poland. I heard that most of them they won't only cross the Polish border and go to Germany. But Poland is proud. It is something which made us proud because it is long history to present Poland like some kind of the fortress in the east which protect the Europe. It's Poland who protected Europe from the communist revolution in 1920 because of the victory against Bolshevik in 1920. We stopped the spreading of communism in Europe, and we stopped the spreading of communism in all the world because of these historic victories. And before this, we have time of the King Sobieski, and also that we stopped the invasion of the Muslims to the Europe. We have a fight with Turks, and so it's something which make the Polish politician orgasm, something like this. That they can show in the world that somebody attacked us and we are defending, because people have to understand one thing very important, that in 2015 there are the millions people who wanted to enter in the European Union. In the Polish-Belarusian border, maybe there is 200 people. I don't know, 200, 300 people. It's very, very little. And spending this money for this very, very small amount of people is it's without any logic. If you want to, if you think only from the capitalist perspective, economy, okay, there is 300 people, everybody will give them the pension 1,000 euro, and you will pay this from to 1 year 1,000 euro, and it will be very, very little money. And if you compare this with this price for this wall, it's a lot of money and for nothing, because it's good for the propaganda to show that to show two things. First things, that Poland have big economic success, and because of this success people want to live in Poland. And second things is that the Polish government is strong and will protect us because of this danger, because of this zoophile who came there and to make sex with Polish cow.
Yeah. There are a few other comments. Comrade Pamela Matox asked, aren't these people migrants from the Middle East? I think it was about the this old migrant crisis. Oh, Pamela also said she laughed about the cow. Yeah, we too. Going back to this question about migrants from Middle East, I believe it was about the older migrant crisis. Some of them were from the Middle East. A lot of them, I believe, was from Syria, but they got all mixed up basically. Plus, in order to get into Europe, they had to move through the northern Africa. So there was many national and ethnic groups, I think. Do you want to add something?
I think that it is not important who won't go to who are in this border, because the states, the civilized states which have humanitarian reason, who act in the humanitarian way, everybody who came, you can arrest him, ask him, where do you come from, what do you want, how can you help you. If we can help you, we will help. If no, maybe we will send you out. But because I want to repeat this, I am not for this. I am not for this free. For example, if there are the people who are going out from Afghanistan, what kind of people can flee the Afghanistan? I think that there are two kinds of the people. One kind of the people, it is the people who in the 20 years of the occupation, they collaborated with the USA, and they are the traitors of the Afghan people. Maybe they made crimes, and because of their crimes, they don't want to live in Afghanistan today. And I don't think that we have obligation to help these people. I think that these people, if this is the criminalist who killed Afghan people in the time when the NATO occupied Afghanistan, these people have to be sentenced in Afghanistan for the war crimes. We have example of the migrants from the SS and the NSDAP who are flee the Germany after 1945, and they spend their life in South America, in Argentina, in Brazil, in Chile, and stuff like this. So I am not supporter that everybody who came to Poland, he have to rest in Poland, but the civilian, the police or the soldiers or people who are there, they represent of the Polish state, have to act in the civilized way. It's my point that it's the scandal that people are starving there and died there, and because there are second kind of the people which are poor. There are poor migrants. They are the workers or unemployed people who are lived in big poverty, and every human have to help other human in the time when you see that he could die like this. But I don't know how. It's artistic. Comrade artistic said important thing. We forgotten about this. That this photo, it's not photo make for the comedy, for laughing. It was said openly that Muslim people are crazy, and Muslim people are make sex with the animals. So it is Islamophobia. It was presented like this.
There is this stereotype. I think it's also present on the West that these Islamists are some savages living on the desert. They have sex with animals and so on. The pedophilia is also part of this stereotype. Basically, everything which we seen on this conference fits into that. Like we said, there were also photos that are meant to be evidence that these people are member of Islamic State, that they are some Islamic radicals who take part in political executions in Islamic State. It's all just propaganda of fear, propaganda of dehumanization of these people based on Islamophobia.
Okay, comrade, I think that our job today was only to spread this information. I think that if somebody is interested about this crisis, because this crisis was started 2 months ago, and I think that it will rest with us. It will not finish. So I suggest you that if you didn't already make something about this, you can. I hope that our conversation inspired you to search something about this and spread this information in your countries, especially in United States, because in United States Poland is presented like a country of the democratic freedom, the country of the solidarity and Lech Walesa and stuff like this. So I hope that you will present this. What is the Poland today in 2021? What the Polish state make? How many people died in this border? Because we don't have numbers. Before they closed this area for the journalists, it was, I don't know, 10 people or something like this. But now they are the forest. It's raining. It's very cold in the night, and also there are other things which I've forgotten to say, that in these houses for the migrants they don't giving enough food for people. So the children have to go out to eat mushrooms, and after, when they eat mushrooms, they have problem with stomach, and this is toxic mushrooms. And we had also the history of the 3 babies which eat mushrooms, toxic mushrooms, and because in this house for the migrants there are not enough food. And we speak about country where every week in the stores there are thousands of tons of the food which is destroyed in all these big supermarkets. And so they prefer destroyed food, and the migrants in these houses have to eat the toxic mushrooms.
There's also JAZ with some points about Lukashenko. We are going to end the live stream, so I think we won't be reading all this. These are interesting comments, so you should probably be able to read them when you will watch the recording of the live stream. I think the chat would disappear. I think we are going to end, right?
Yes. It's one of.
It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Maybe it's not very nice subject, but I think it's very important to talk about it.
Yes. So thank you, Comrade Piotr, for your presentation.